Hello, beautiful soul. Welcome to my channel. My name is Joanna. If this is your first time here, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for watching. Thank you for liking. Thank you for subscribing if you feel drawn to do that. My intention is very simple. It's to help you make sense of yourself. That is my greatest wish. Because when you begin to make sense of who you are, you begin to see things so much bigger. In essence, my intention is to help you remember who you are. And I do this by sharing with you certain information. So if you want to know more about yourself, if you want to know more of who you truly are underneath your identity, then I hope you stay, and I hope this information will guide you closer toward that space, which is essentially you realizing your own power. Really, that's truly, as cliche as it sounds, that's truly what it is. This channel is to help you see your own power. It's to help you realize how powerful you are. And that is quite an undertaking, isn't it? If you have a friend or two who would benefit from this information, I would love for you to share it. My team and I would really appreciate it. The more people, the more humans understand their power, the more people will be able to express this power in powerful ways. For those of you who are returning, thank you so much for being back. Without you, I wouldn't do this. I love what I do for the most part, unless I resist, and I resist a lot. That's my shadow work. But without you being here, I wouldn't do this. And I love sharing this information. A lot of it I feel is very practical information that can be actually helpful and useful to our everyday 3D life, because I love channeling concepts and ideas. But at the end of the day, if you don't embody what I channel, then your experience, you will not change. You will not have a change in your experience. So I always ask for information that will help us shift and change out of our current structures so that we can embody more of our greatness. So thank you so much for being here, because I love doing that. We are in a new moon energy. I am recording this on a couple days before the new moon, and I asked my really good friend Jenny what this new moon represents, and it is in Sagittarius, I believe. And it's about truth-seeking, spirituality, expansion, and thinking big, which means coming out of our boxes. And this new moon almost serves like a portal to new energy. And it feels very light but profound at the same time. And we all have an opportunity to move into this more expanded space, but not without first facing ourselves. So we are all here to face ourselves, face our shadows, face our fears, whatever it is that we need to face. And I actually got a glimpse earlier today of what I believe is our future about 200 years from now. I got a bit of a glimpse. So I feel I was being granted a view of what's likely possible for humanity in about 200 years. And first and foremost, there were hovering cars, which didn't really surprise me. What was the biggest difference then and now is the level of almost like loyalty to one another, where 200 years from now, we humans felt unified and not separate. It was a feeling of not feeling separate. And there was this consciousness of being helpful to somebody just because, without an agenda. And it was this collaboration between humans who are on different levels. So this could mean different levels financially, whatever, status-wise, a level of evolution. Doesn't matter who it was. We all thought of ourselves as the same, but unique. And that sameness in that vision made me feel so safe and so secure and just like I could breathe. Now, in contrast to that, the current energy that I feel is one of almost the opposite. So I am excited that this is the view that I'm being shown, because it says it's very likely this is where we're going to end up. Not in my lifetime, maybe not in your lifetime. But what it does say is that we first have to get through this. And this is a bit of a resistance point. And it seems like we are separating further. It's like we are separating, and eventually something is going to snap. I don't know what that means quite yet, but something is going to happen when humanity will almost have no option but to come together. And I don't know if this is a one-time thing that happens or it's an evolution, but we're in a space right now where our ideologies are changing. We are refining how we see ourselves, what we think of ourselves. Refining could also symbolize we're vibrating higher. And because of that, things are changing in the world. And these are big changes, as you can tell. These are big changes. These are frameworks of humanity. The framework of humanity is changing, and that's a big and profound shift. And like 200 years from now, the idea of war, I feel, is not even going to be part of human consciousness. So obviously we will have to evolve to a place where the whole idea of war, what is it? I don't even know what it is. Never mind the need to have a war. So 200 years from now is actually not a really long time. But that consciousness, that level of consciousness is not what we have right now. It's not where we're at right now. And that's primarily because we're at war within ourselves. So in order for us to be in that space, which I feel where we're going, 200 years from now, the consciousness as I was shown, there is no conflict. There is no inner war. There is no fighting. There is no division. There is oneness, unionness, but uniqueness. Right now, most people are at war with themselves. And these are internal wars. These are aspects of ourselves that we are conflicted with. I call them our shadows. So in order to get to that space that I was describing, we have to face our shadows. So this is a time of facing our stuff. And I talk about this a lot because it is, I believe, what I'm here primarily to do as a function to help consciousness rise, is to channel this information so that we can all have that other world, so that we can all have it, so that we can all experience it. But we cannot experience it without doing our inner work. So I talk about shadows a lot because it is part of inner work, and your shadows are always inside of you, not outside of you. So this is one of the most magnificent times ever, is what I'm hearing, or one of the most magnificent times ever, where facing our shadows will result in massive changes in our world, positive changes. And the energy right now is amplified. So because the energy is amplified, our experience with our shadows will tend to amplify as well. It's like our shadows are now coming up to the surface, to be seen, to be visibly seen. For example, there has always been division in the world, but it wasn't as seen as it's seen right now. Right now, division is in our face. This division in the world is merely a representation of our own division within ourselves. In other words, we are divided from within. And if we are divided from within, we are not in union. We are in resistance or in resistance to ourselves, rejection. When we are divided inside, we don't feel whole, we feel separate. And this is what humanity's greatest problem is. Humanity still believes, most of humanity, that we are separate. We are not separate. We cannot be separate from all that is. It's impossible. The separateness stems from our beliefs and our identities. So as we move through this very powerful energy of facing our fears, we are in a presence of being able to let go of those limiting structures, those limiting beliefs, but not until we face them and we realize this is beliefs that we have. In order to move beyond a certain belief, you first have to realize there is belief. You have a belief. So in a roundabout way, what I'm saying is to be in the space where I saw us 200 years from now requires us as humanity as a whole, and obviously each and every individual, to face our shadows, to face our separateness from within, to face our division from within, so that we can once again remember that we are whole. We are whole. We come from a space of wholeness. We are whole. Our experience says otherwise because of what we've learned to identify with. But the moment we learn to disidentify with our unwholeness, we automatically begin to embody wholeness. So all we have to do in order to experience that reality that I was sharing with you 200 years from now is to let go of the illusion that we are separate from Source. It's to let go of the illusion that we are separate from Source. So, with that said, I like to go through 3 piles and help you understand what shadow you might be facing right now, or what would be good for you to face right now, so that you can realize more of your potential, so that this new moon energy can usher you new experiences. But in order for you to have new experiences, you have to let go of the doubt that has been keeping you away from it in the first place. You have to let go of a certain way of identifying, not only with yourself, but with what you want. So, let's go through each pile, whatever you're drawn to. I don't want you to take any of this as gospel. I want you to use your intuition and your own inner guidance. Your inner guidance will tell you whether this is information for you or it's not. Doesn't mean that it's good or bad, that it just means it's not for you, and that's perfectly okay. On the other hand, you might get triggered by a message, and that may tell you something very important. Triggers are like gold. They tell you a story. So there's something that comes through and it triggers you. Just observe what the trigger is and what is the story. Perhaps something is going to be triggered and you will have to look at yourself, and you haven't been wanting to look at yourself for a long time. Why? Well, facing ourselves is a tough job. It's got so many it's got so much bad rap around it. We often think of facing ourselves with the idea of loss. If we face ourselves, then that means we have to lose something. No. When we face ourselves, we begin to gain so much more. If we knew that facing ourselves meant we're going to experience so much more, we wouldn't be nearly as afraid. Can I say that word? So it's easy to say don't be afraid of facing yourself, but I'm a human. I face myself a lot, to the point where I'm so used to facing myself that it doesn't face me. Thank you. It's just the thing that I do. I face myself all the time. And so that doesn't have any control over me anymore. I decide to face myself, and the moment I face something, it's no longer as scary. Okay, so don't be afraid of facing yourself, but it is not an easy process at the onset, for sure. But since we are all going to be facing ourselves sooner or later, you might as well go about it in the best possible way that allows you to thrive, not just to survive. Of course, if you would like my help with my team, I actually have a promo, Black Friday promo that I do once a year. You get a really big discount. That information is down below if you feel the call to work with myself and my team. I would be very honored. So pile number 1. What could you be letting go of? Oh, this is very interesting. What's your shtick right now? What do you need to let go of? This message says cosmic midwifery, but I'm receiving a slightly different message. If you were drawn to this, if you were drawn to pile number 1, chances are very high that you would consider yourself a healer, that you would resonate with the idea of healer, that you, however, and if this resonates with you, there's a part of you that doesn't believe whether it's real. So there's a part of you that doubts your ability or you being a healer. And by the way, I, as Joanna, I'm an expert at that. I doubt it all the time. But I've learned to work with it, and I have discernment. So if you believe that you have healing gifts, then you have 2 choices. You either believe it or disbelieve it. There's no in between. There's no maybe. So this is for those of you who are sitting on the fence deciding whether you are a healer or not, whatever that means to you. If you don't believe in your healing abilities, but you are wanting to be a practicing healer, then you're not going to be a very believable healer because you don't believe in your own healing gifts. You're going to likely come across as someone who is insecure in what they do. You don't want that, because then it puts you in a position where you need constant validation from your clients that what you're doing is real. And that's not to say that clients or people you work with won't give you feedback, positive feedback, and it's going to feel good. Absolutely. Never gets boring for me. I absolutely love it. But if you depend on it, then you're creating an unhealthy relationship with the person you're giving healing to. You're creating karma. Okay? And we don't want karma anymore. We don't want outside validation. What we want is to learn our inside, how to validate from inside. What does it mean to validate from yourself from the inside? Well, what's coming to me is, what does it mean to validate yourself from the inside? The words I'm getting is, I am good, and no matter what, I can always improve. I am good, and no matter what, I can always improve. So you're not denying that things are good, but you're also leaving room for more. And I feel like that's a very healthy way to be. So how would a practicing healer experience that? you would go into a session with your best intention and being open to however healing wants to come through you. And whether your mind or your logic or your ego believes it or disbelieves it, let it be a part of you, but not the totality of you. And let that doubting part just kind of be on the side while you do your thing. And it's going to feel much less effortless because your ego is not going to be constantly criticizing and asking, is this true? Is this true? So what is it that it would behoove you to face right about now? The consistent thoughts you have about you not believing in who you are or your service. You doubt what you offer. You doubt your capabilities. You doubt your gifts. If you doubt your gifts, then you will not be as open with sharing your gifts, because gift is going to limit you, or doubt is going to limit you. On the other hand, when you accept that you have whatever gifts you have, and likely if you're hearing this, you've had feedback from the universe that showed you proof, quote unquote, of your gifts. I'm pretty sure that's the case for most of you. You can just kind of go, okay, I'm getting my proof that whatever I offer is working, but I'm not going to identify with it. Okay? It's not, we're talking about the identity and the ego. When you doubt your abilities, you will also likely diminish your abilities, and you will shortchange your abilities, and you will have a tendency to put yourself down. You will have a tendency to own your gift, to not own your gift. And that's not going to help you with sharing your gift. So in a roundabout way, what I'm saying, pile number one, likely you're a healer, but you don't believe in what you do. You don't believe in what you do. They're saying it's like being a trained artist and you say, I'm not an artist. Well, you're a trained artist. You're an artist whether you like it or not. At the end of the day, whatever healing abilities you have, everyone has them. However, not everyone has brought those particular skills with them into this life. So yes, everyone can heal, but not everyone is as consciously aware of their healing abilities. Okay? So in that case, you're unique. If that helps you, because it helps me, Joanna, if that helps you to disidentify with this ego doubting thing, if it helps you to say to yourself, okay, everyone can heal. It's not just me. It somehow releases all the pressure. Because if everyone can heal, you just happen to be more aware. And your awareness allows you to share those healing abilities, and perhaps your healing abilities will help others share their healing abilities, because remember, they have it too. So what I'm saying is, the more you trust yourself and your abilities, the more you help others trust in their abilities, perhaps as healers. Now, when I say healer, it doesn't mean that you just heal the body. You heal a situation, you heal a relationship, you heal a situation. It's not just physical healing, but of course it's physical, spiritual, emotional, mental healing. Yes, it's healing on all levels. We all manipulate energy all the time, whether we know it or not. We manipulate energy all the time with our thoughts. Okay? And by the way, thoughts heal. So if you want to accept your healing abilities, fully own them, change your thoughts about you being a healer, or change your thoughts around you being a healer. Perhaps you feel you don't deserve it. Okay, well, too bad. You're born with these abilities, like it or not. The best I can say to you is accept it or deny it. If you've got them, and if you see them, and if you're observing them, then, well, you can deny it if you want, but it's right there. You might as well accept it. Okay? Be okay with being a practicing healer. Okay, so some of you, this is about moving into being a practicing healer. You actually might be working in a situation when you are the doula, a cosmic doula, or actually working with babies as a doula when infants come out, that kind of doula, spiritual doula. Perhaps you're a quote-unquote healing doula. What does that mean? You help others birth their own healing self. So I feel like for pile number 1, you are a practicing healer or about to become a practicing healer, or you are about to start practicing more of your healing abilities. That's what I see for you, pile number 1. But you have to let go of this, I don't believe in my abilities, I don't have any abilities, or anything of that sort. Okay? You have some fears around rejection still that have not been healed. Someone in your life has rejected you. Like, we've all experienced that. But it made a lasting impact on you, and it's still nagging at you. What if they leave me? Which is, so here, very interesting. Especially with, this is how the mind works. It's brilliant. Okay. What if they leave me? So if you have a fear of being abandoned, you could potentially create relationship in your life where other people depend on you so that they never leave you. So this is a little bit of a message of codependency. If you don't heal your own rejection fears or or fear of being abandoned, you are likely to need a client to need you. You are likely to draw people in your life who need you. And that can be very taxing. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but if you rely on people to need you, then you will always be surrounded by needy people. Again, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but it is a certain way of experiencing life, and it feels a little bit heavy. It doesn't mean that people shouldn't need you. You need people, I need people, but this is a different type of needing. This is relying on outside for safety and security. And validation is all part of that. So you need to look at some shadows around insecurities of being left behind or being left alone or abandonment or rejection. Because you're still likely holding on to, and that is going to affect you in terms of your physicality, in terms of your physical needs. You will have a tendency to rely on other people to satisfy your physical needs. You will be too reliant on others. Okay, so there's a codependency here that's coming out for you, even though this card doesn't really mean that. Okay? Actually, it's one of the bigger cards that I got for the humanity. There's and codependency. Emerald tablet activation, cosmic ordering, divine alchemy, conscious manifesting. You're in a very powerful position right now. How? Because think of it this way. You think of your life as a one big contract. Okay, and in this contract you have a whole bunch of things. Okay, a whole bunch of points, and they're important points. Right now you're standing in the type of energy that basically says, hey, if you don't like your experience, you can change your contract. You can rip your contract and you can create a new contract. And you're saying, okay, I want a new contract on this, this, or that. All right. So what would your new contract say? What would you want your new contract to be? Really think about it. Really think about it. What would you want your new contract to be? And then ask yourself this question. In order for me to experience that new contract, who would I have to become? And here's the tricky part. In order for you to become a version A, B, you have to let go of aversion A. You have to be willing to disidentify yourself from your current limiting belief systems that are part of the old contract in order to experience your evolution under the new contract with new belief systems. Otherwise, it's the same contract. There's no point in changing it. And this new contract, symbolically speaking, represents massive growth, massive change, massive openness, apropos with the new moon. So facing your shadows can very much be part of you rewriting your contract. Because facing shadows simply says, I will not let myself stand in the way. I am in charge. I won't let myself stand in the way. Which means you have to deal with the part of you that stands in the way. Okay? Whatever that is about to come up for you right now. The way you stand in your own way to your happiness is about to come up right about now. So you'll likely be faced with a situation that you will have to face. You won't be able to go around it. You will just have to face it. This could be a challenge. This could be a situation. This could be an obligation that you're facing and you're choosing to no longer be obligated. Somehow there's around obligation here. So you can make some massive headways over the next few months. We all can, but if you're drawing pile number 1, then you're much more in that energy. So this is a really good time for you to let go of some endings so that you can experience new beginnings. Again, apropos for this new moon. And I feel like sacral chakra is really important for you to look at, which is also where the divine feminine lives. And do some work on your sacral chakra, because it if it's not functioning optimally, you are basically reducing the level of what you can experience in life if your sacral chakra is not working healthily. I'm going to use that word. And that's true for every chakra, but for you, pile number 2, sacral chakra is identified as the primary source right now of your shadow work. Okay, so with that, let's move on to pile number 2. Okay, pile number 2. Let's see. Let's see what we've got for you. We have coming full circle, and we have holographic healing. Okay, so most of you listening to this are what I would call an end of a cycle. However, some of you are resisting it. You are resisting let go of a familiar situation, a familiar person, a familiar something you've been holding on to. There's a fear of letting something go. And let me just tune a little bit more into it. Is the typical, what if I can't have something better? What if I can't experience more? What if I can't have something better? So I'd rather stick to this than have something better. If you believe that you cannot have something better, you won't. It's as simple as that. Can you have better? Yes. The question is, are you willing to do what's necessary, including letting go of that which no longer serves you, so that you can have better, including your belief about the fact that you can't have better? It's not your belief anyway. When I was growing up as Joanna, one of the things that was famous for my parents to say was, I'll translate it from my language to English. It's basically, the message was, that is not for you. In other words, you give dogs scraps, you don't give your dog beautiful food. Meaning, I was a person who wasn't worthy of that. I was a person who was just worthy of scrap. So naturally, I grew up with the identity of lack. Naturally, right? And that's what has been tripping me up all of my life. Lack. I'm sure you're not too unfamiliar with what lack is or what lack means. The point is here that you are in a very opportune times to shift this inner lack around. So, going back to coming full circle, what is coming full circle right now? What wants to leave you? What in your life is wanting to be let go of and you're holding on to it with your all might? Maybe it's a relationship that hasn't been working. Maybe it's a job that hasn't been working. Whatever it is, there is this feeling of not wanting to let something go. And I feel that it's there could be many reasons for that, but the predominant one is, what if I can't have more? Again, it's not whether you can or can't. It's whether you are willing to do what is necessary and within your own power to have that better. And it's all to do with your belief systems. And you are clearing many lifetimes of this. I would say also ancestral healing. So you are doing a lot of work in your ancestral line. In other words, the buck stops with you. So if you have young children or you don't have children yet and want to have children, your newfound foundation is going to permanently alter, I almost want to say on a genetic level, so that those who come after you will not have to experience the same life themes and based on life beliefs. In other words, you are choosing to be more than who you already are experiencing by letting go of the limitations you've put on yourself. The reason why I say you've put these limitations on yourself, because when you were younger, limitations were placed on you. You had no knowledge, no awareness, but now you own these limitations. Now you own them. Now they're yours. And when you are conscious of these limitations and you realize and recognize that you are not the limitation itself, it's a belief, then you can almost like unhook yourself from that illusion of your limitation. Because let's face it, you are capable of so much more than what you believe. Can we just say that? You are capable of so much more. The reason why you don't give yourself the opportunity to experience more is because of what you believe. Your belief is yours, which means if you are holding onto a belief, you can give it up. Okay? In order to give up your experience, in order for you to give up your belief system, you then have to adopt a new belief system. So if you have a belief system of lack, what belief system would you need to adopt? If you are letting go of lack, what are you prepared to experience instead? And you have to become that. You have to embody that. Consistently embody that. How? First and foremost, to know without a doubt that you can change. You can change. You're changing all the time. Your cells are changing all the time. You just don't have awareness of it. You can change. The question is, do you, pile number 2, choose to change? And in order for you to change and move forward with something else, you have to let something go. So pile number 2, you are needing to let something go, and likely has something to do with money for some of you, which is never an easy thing to do. I would never minimize that because we need money. But what I want to say more than anything, it's the energy. You are needing to look at the energy, at the reason why you are still holding on to it, and your belief why you still need it, even though you know it's outdated, it's past its due date, or it's past its best buy date. And that's going to reveal something to you, something really, really important that's going to allow you to shift how you see and how you live. But process of letting go is not necessarily an easy one. And that's okay. That's okay. It doesn't have to be hard or overly hard, but it is a process. So if there is something in your life and you're like, oh gosh, this is not serving me anymore, I don't know what to do. Well, yes, you do know what to do. You're just afraid of doing it because you have certain beliefs, right? Blessed. The way it showed up to me, it just gives me a certain message. This is not going to be for many of you, I hope. Do you feel cursed? Do you feel blessed? Do you feel cursed? So there's a couple of things. A, do you feel blessed? Yes or no? Do you feel cursed? Are there some of you who feel like you've been cursed, like your life has been cursed, like it's never, like cursed? You get the idea of curse. Here's the problem. If you believe that you're cursed, you believe that. Now, does that mean that curses don't exist? They do. It's called black magic. They do. But the more you believe in a curse, the more you give the curse power over you. And I would just, for some of you who this makes sense for, I would just look at the idea of cursed and something having power over you. Now, this is to digress a little bit. Does that mean that black magic doesn't exist? Oh, it exists, 100%. But my understanding is, from my source, when you are strong on the inside, when you feel whole, when you are vibrating with higher energy, you're much less likely to be affected by somebody else's curse, because curse is a low vibrating frequency. It's not a high vibrating frequency. So the message is that the more fear you have within you, the more the idea of curse may impact you. But it doesn't have to. So that's one. The second one, do you feel blessed? Some of you may say, I don't. And everyone will have their own answer. But here's what I would say. And I'm recording this on Thanksgiving Day in the USA. So it's all about gratitude attitude. If you feel blessed, beautiful, keep feeling blessed, and list in your mind the things that you are blessed with, the things that you are grateful for. If you believe that you have nothing to be grateful for, I would challenge you on that. Your ego is not going to like me, but I would challenge you on that. If you are breathing and you are fairly healthy, normally functioning human being, even though you might have your things, like you might have been born with certain something and it's just part of your path, but you're breathing. I hope that you're not in pain, physical pain. You have food to eat. You have roof over your head. That's being blessed. Doesn't mean you can't have more, but that's being blessed. If you believe, on the other hand, that you're not blessed, then what you're saying is that your life is all about lack. But that's impossible. You're always receiving. You're always receiving. Whatever you're watching this video on, you're watching it on some kind of a device. Be grateful for that. So being in gratitude attitude not only allows us to feel blessed, but it opens our heart. And what happens when we open our hearts? Love flows through. So being grateful for being blessed puts you in a certain frame of mind and a certain frequency, and that actually opens you up to more. So I would, especially now in this new moon energy, I would challenge you to look at your life and list to yourself where you've been blessed. And I can say with 100% certainty, belief, that you have at least one thing you're blessed with. You have many, but at least we can find just one, and be grateful for that, and really allow yourself to be grateful for that and stay with that, and then see what happens. Okay? Because doors are going to start opening up for you when you fill your heart, is what I want to say. That's what I'm being asked to say to you guys. All I can say is practice it and see what happens. Anunnaki light codes, energetic shift, new information, end of a cycle. Well, didn't I say you're at the end of a cycle? I did. So there is a definite cycle that is ending in your life, pile number 2. And I want to say this is time for celebration. I am not saying you won't experience resistance. We all do, because it's, humans want to hold on to permanency, and I talked about it in the last video. There is no permanency really in life. Yes, some things last longer than others, but nothing is truly permanent. But the natural tendency is to hang on to permanency for safety and security, right? But you are at the space, pile number 2, where your permanency that has been is now changing. There's something more that wants to come into your life. You've been asking, and something wants to come into your life, but you have to let go of the belief that somehow it's not possible, somehow you can't have it, or some other limiting belief system. That's the cycle that's ending. If one of your biggest points to trip on is the whole idea of not good enough, because I talk about it a lot because it's very pervasive, you have to be willing to look at that. It's like, okay, is it true? Is it true that you are not worthy or you're not good enough? No, it's absurd. I've been saying that to you for years. It's absurd. It's mind-made thought and belief, okay? You are more than enough. You are more than enough. You are infinitely more than enough. Here is the question to you. Do you want to believe that? Or do you want to continue believing that you are not? That's your choice. That's up to you. And relative to what you choose, you are going to create an experience based on that that's going to reflect that back to you. There's no other way for me to say it. So there's worth issues in pile number 2. Now, if you're drawn to more than one pile, then all messages have something for you, okay? Sacral chakra, again, like pile number 1, and your stomach area, particularly your digestive system. I feel like it's on fire, it's inflamed, so you might be experiencing some inflammation in your gut. Gut is all about processing food, but also processing information. Pile number 2, you are likely someone who's not used to dealing with your emotions. You're used to stuffing your emotions, suppressing your emotions, pretending that you don't feel something, or maybe just being nice all the time. I mean, sure, if you want to be nice all the time, great, but are you being real? Or are you being nice because you feel somehow obligated to be nice and you're just fooling yourself? Point I'm trying to make is solar plexus is signified, and there's a lot of fire in it. And it needs some healing. You might need some herbal remedies actually to calm down your nervous system, and your nervous system is directly tied to your digestive system, and it's tied to the brain. So your digestive system will affect the chemicals in your brain, and you're going to have more cloudy thoughts, less clear thoughts. You're not going to be thinking nearly as clearly. So it's all connected. So pile number 2, your solar plexus and your mind, those two are shown to me as a connection right now. Also, the way you think and the way you believe will affect your gut. Okay, so if you think or believe that you are not worthy, you are going to hold yourself back, and you are literally going to resist your own energy flow. And that's going to cause a whole bunch of things: intestinal problems, inflammation, giving your power away. You get the picture. So that's what I have for you, pile number 3. It all begins with going into the heart and learning how to love ourselves from inside out. If we don't learn how to love ourselves, and this is touching on the message from the very beginning, if we don't learn how to love and accept ourselves, and by the way, here's a trick. You can learn to love something, but you don't have to like it. You can learn to love something, you don't have to like it. That's a novel concept, isn't it? Actually, when they said that to me a few weeks ago, like, huh? And they said, well, you love your kid, but sometimes he drives you crazy. I'm like, yeah, I do. I don't like it, but I love the guy. So you can learn to accept things you don't like about yourself, and you can learn to love things you don't like. You can always improve. Almost always you can improve. That's a whole new way of relating with yourself rather than self-rejection. So pile number 2, you have some self-rejection stuff. And that's going to affect your gut flora. It's going to affect your inner stability. It's going to affect how you feel about yourself and how you show up in the world. And it absolutely is going to reduce your thinking in terms of thinking less of yourself than you actually are. Okay? So that is what I have for you, pile number 2. All right, let's see what we have for you, pile number 3. We have creative communication. Came to me in reverse. It's just the way I get information. Do you have a writer's block? For some of you. Some of you, pile number 3, are, let me see how to say it. When you communicate, you're not being very clear in what you're trying to communicate. It's like you beat around the bush. So some of you, it would behoove you to look at your communication style, because I'm getting somebody who's frustrated. You're asking and asking and asking, but you're not getting what you're asking for. And it's either you're not communicating it effectively, or it's actually not what you want. Interesting. For example, I'm just going to throw this example. Let's say you tell someone to mop the floor. This is just the example that's coming, okay? And they're like, I'll do it later, I'll do it later, I'll do it later. And then you keep asking and you keep asking and nothing is happening. What you're asking is not so much, can you mop the floor? What you're asking for is really, hey, can you help me? So there's a difference, because oftentimes we will ask for something, we don't get it, and we get frustrated. But it's the way we're asking or what we're asking. We need to be more clear. So for you, pile number 3, you need to be more clear in how you communicate your needs to others. You can't be wishy-washy with what you communicate. I mean, you can be, but you're just not going to get the desired results. You can't be wishy-washy. You have to be sure in how you communicate. You have to be more confident. So for some of you, you are not very confident in how you communicate. Okay? If you're not very confident in how you communicate, well, there could be many reasons, but for some of you, you're trying to avoid conflict. So pile number 3, are you someone who avoids conflict? As a human, I'll tell you that conflict is not something that I say to the universe, hey, give me more conflict. Most people don't enjoy conflict. Some do, yes, but most people don't enjoy conflict because it's not very comfortable. And who the heck wants to feel uncomfortable? I mean, sometimes we do, but sometimes we don't. The other thing I want to say to you, and this is going to be a little bit of a funny message, stop kissing people's ass. I don't know where that came from. Stop kissing people's ass. It's a famous saying, but why do we do that? Because we want to be accepted? So what do you do, pile number 3, in order to be accepted? What do you do? And that's number 1. Number 2, let me just feel this out. The question I get for you in your mind is, what if they don't accept me? So there is a definite issue with acceptance, okay? You are likely seeking acceptance from someone else. Nothing wrong with that. But again, if you rely on it and the source of that acceptance goes away, then you're back to square one. You're not feeling validated. This talked a little bit about in pile number 2 a little bit. There is a need for validation and acceptance. Now, everyone wants to be accepted. Of course, we all want to be part of group, part of something. It's just part of us being humans. We live as packs, most of us, right? So acceptance is a big deal. Here's the bigger thing. If we're not in acceptance of ourselves, that's when the problem begins. Because when you don't accept yourself, you're going to be looking for outside sources to validate you. And perhaps this is why you kiss other people's ass, so that they will validate you. It's a strategy, yes, but it's usually not a great one. Here's why. When you're kissing people's ass, for example, you're not being true to yourself. You're not being honest with yourself. You're not being true to yourself. Because if you let's put it this way, if you were a confident person and you were just confident, would you have the need to kiss people's ass as much? Probably don't, right? Now I'm talking about this, and there's probably very few that can resonate with this or know someone who does. The message is really significant about self-acceptance. Again, pile number 2 talked about that a little bit. But yours is in a slightly different way. The message is slightly different. How do you learn to accept yourself? First and foremost, let go of what isn't true. Let go of what isn't true for you. Am I a person who's not valuable? Let go of that, because that's not true. So if you are not a not valuable person, then you must be the opposite. Then you must be a valuable person. As an example, if you feel valued, if you value you will have no need as much to kiss people's ass. You just won't have that need, because you will not need their validation. You're good. Now, if someone praises you and say, hey, that was a really good job, own it, accept it. Thank you. You've earned it. So, also pile number 3, go easy on yourself, because you are someone who's constantly trying to improve yourself on the outside, okay? What needs improvement, if you will, is what's on the inside, not so much on the outside, okay? I'm not saying don't improve yourself on the outside. I'm all for it. Go for it. But if that isn't matched by what's on the inside, you will constantly try to improve yourself, and it will never be enough. It'll never be enough. It'll never be enough. It's like a bottomless well. It'll never be enough. And that's dangerous, because we can get distorted. So I don't know who I'm talking to. Again, I have absolutely nothing against improving yourself on the outside. I work out all the time. I do my hair, I put on lip gloss, I enjoy it. But it has to match how I feel on the inside. And if I only depend on that to feel valued, the moment I can't exercise one day or whatever is the moment where I feel empty again. Okay? Pile number 3. I want you to have the courage to see yourself as wholeness. I want you to see yourself as wholeness. Meaning, you don't need anything. Now, do you need food? Yes. Do you need to put gas in your car? Yes. I'm not talking about these things. Fundamentally speaking, you don't need anything. You are perfect as you are. Everything else and all your objections about what I just said, that's your ego. Okay, so there is the truth and there is your ego's truth. Be mindful how much you give power to your limited ego, because that's what's keeping you trapped. It's what keeps us all trapped. Okay? When you give yourself away, for example, what you are basically saying is this: here, have all of me because I don't value myself. Does that make sense what I'm saying? Now, it's a little bit of a convoluted message. When you don't value yourself, you will tend to give yourself away. Example: when you don't value yourself, you will have a tendency to take smaller risks. You will have a tendency to attract less money to yourself. You will have a tendency to attract more lack to yourself. You don't want that. I know you want the opposite because you're a human being. You don't want to live in poverty. You don't want to live in lack awareness. You want to live in a different space. I know that. That's why you're here. You can, but you have to choose. You have to choose where you live. And most humans live in the head, including you, pile number 3. What kind of limiting thoughts are living in your head, especially now? What kind of shadows are coming up right now? The whole idea of kissing people's ass, I don't know who it's for, but it just keeps coming up. So maybe you are one of those people that is used to like kissing people's ass. Just ask yourself why you do that. And if you had more confidence, if you felt more confident in yourself, if you believed in yourself, would you still do that? You might, but I suspect you wouldn't want to. So it changes. This offers up a new way of relating. The more you value yourself, the more you begin to relate with others differently. You see yourself and other people on the same level. You don't put people on pedestals. Yes, you acknowledge them for their accomplishments, but you don't put them on pedestals. They're humans just like you with different skills and different gifts. They're not better than you. They're not worse than you. They're just different. They're unique. So if you have a high need for comparison or comparing yourself to other people, their successes, that's because you're coming from a space of lack. And if you want that new experience, you want to change that. You want to stop limiting yourself because tis the season to do that. So no more kissing ass. Pile number 3. New life. Seriously? You ready? You're ready. You're ready. You're ready to open to more. You're ready to let go. You're ready to spread your wings. I guarantee you one thing. You're not going to do that from the space of lack, from the space of not being confident. Own your confidence. What does it mean to be confident in the first place? How do you even know that you're confident unless you actually do things and you realize your confidence, your strength? Confidence is something that is born out of practicing things, doing things over and over again, and you become confident at it, right? You don't know if you're confident in something unless you go through it and you test yourself. So confidence is something that builds. If you're used to not feeling confident, it's going to take you some time to experience confidence, to embody confidence. It's going to take some time. but the boat, quote unquote, is turning around. You're changing directions. You're moving from non-confident to a much more confident person. And that is like, basically, I see her almost like she's coming out of an eggshell. She's not. There's no eggshell here, but that's how I see it. She's coming to life. She is opening up to new. So huge opportunities for you, pile number 3. But I feel in this new moon, opportunities are abound for everybody. But you are ready to move on to feeling more comfortable and more confident with yourself. And that to me is like, slice of heaven. Because who doesn't want to feel that? Does that mean you will not have any challenges? Of course you will. But when you're more confident, when you feel more solid, you can deal with any challenge that life throws at you in a more confident way. Does that mean you won't have doubts? Of course you will. But you'll return more into this space of almost neutrality versus, feeling scared. It's just you're going to bounce back quicker from your challenges. Sword of Light, divine protection, cord cut, breakthrough energy. What did I say? This looks to me almost like Ace of Swords, brand new beginning in terms of your thinking patterns. The notion of codependence, the notion of not being good enough, the notion of not being worthy. All of that is tied to limited thinking, limited beliefs. Just like the other 2 piles, stop resisting looking at your perceived limitations. Stop resisting looking at your shadows so that you can once again regain your confidence. What keeps you away from being confident is the thoughts you have about you. These are your thoughts. These are your thoughts. And your thoughts are very creative and they help you create your world around you. So if you want a different world, if you want to experience different worlds, you have to shift your thoughts, which are product of your beliefs. It also feels like creativity wants to come through for you. Like it's a very creative period for you. So likely you are someone who has been experiencing a bit of a down in creativity. I feel like you're going to experience a lot more, especially in spring of 2025. I also feel 2026 is somehow a big year for you. But what you do now from this moment forward is going to equal what you will experience in 2026. And it feels like a big gift from the universe. And you will be working towards that. I don't know what that is specifically for you, pile number 3, but you are working towards, or at least there's an opportunity to work towards something really powerful, something really substantial in 2026. Maybe you'll land your perfect career gig in 2026. Could be something else, but what it is that I see is positive. So it's on the horizon. I see it. How fast you get to it, and if you choose to get there, because you have a choice, will depend a lot on what's happening right now in your belief system, in your mind. Like I said, this is the season for facing our shadows, for facing our perceived limitations so that we can experience so much more. And you're no different, pile number 3. So that's what I have for you, pile number 3. I hope that this was helpful. I hope that these messages have initiated something in you so that you have a bit of an aha moment and you can have this ping, something makes sense, and it propels you to move forward in a much more expanded way. And maybe there is something in you that says, yes, I can do this. Yes, you can. You're doing it right now. Yes, you can. Of course, if you would like my help with my team, I actually have a promo, Black Friday promo that I do once a year. You get a really big discount. That information is down below if you feel the call to work with myself and my team. I would be very honored. So until next week, let me know how these messages resonated with you. I wish you best of luck. Happy new moon, happy Thanksgiving, and see you soon. Bye-bye.